They thought it was just a beautiful wedding, but they never knew they were walking straight into his revenge.
When the wedding invitation arrived, it didn't feel like a celebration invitation. It felt like a provocation. The glossy envelope carried my cousin Daniel's smiling face beside his fiancée Clara, both radiating happiness, the kind of happiness they believed I had no right to experience. Daniel wasn't just any cousin. He was once my best friend, my brother in everything except blood. We grew up together, shared food, shared dreams, and once promised that no matter what life brought, we would never betray each other. That promise broke the day Daniel betrayed me in the most unforgettable way. As I held the invitation, memories burned brighter than the gold foil on the card. 3 years earlier, Daniel had destroyed everything I worked for. He stole my business idea, convinced investors to cut me out, and publicly humiliated me by calling me foolish and naive in front of the same people who once respected me. Overnight, I lost my livelihood, my dignity, and even the love of my life, who walked away because she believed I was a failure. Daniel became rich. I became invisible. For years I lived with humiliation, pain, and anger burning quietly in my chest. But life has a way of spinning the wheel back. When I read that invitation, I didn't see a wedding date. I saw an opportunity. Daniel thought this wedding would be the happiest day of his life. He thought he had buried me in disgrace. He had no idea I was no longer the weak cousin he crushed. He had no idea that I had risen stronger, wiser, and colder. He had no idea the wedding wasn't just a ceremony. It was my battlefield. They say time heals wounds, but some wounds don't heal. They become scars that whisper every single day. Daniel's betrayal wasn't just business. It was personal. He knew how hard I struggled to build that company. He knew how many nights I starved so I could pay staff salaries. He knew that business was my pride, my dream, my future. Yet he smiled in my face while plotting behind my back, convincing everyone that I was unstable, irresponsible, and unworthy of trust. He took my investors, my idea, and my reputation, then walked away like he did nothing wrong. Betrayal hurts worst when it comes from someone who knew how much trust you placed in them. And Daniel knew everything. The humiliation destroyed parts of me I never thought could break. Friends disappeared. Family members chose his side because success blinds loyalty. My mother asked me to forgive, to let go, to move on. But every time I closed my eyes, I heard his laughter, saw his triumph, and remembered how he looked at me like I was beneath him. Moving on was impossible because the betrayal didn't just take my career. It reshaped who I was. It carved bitterness into my heart. But instead of letting it consume me, I let it shape me into something stronger. I worked in silence. I rebuilt my life secretly. I planned patiently. And when I heard he was getting married, I knew fate had placed the final chapter in my hands. Daniel thought betrayal was a closed story. He didn't know betrayal never dies. It hides, waits, and returns. When the world is watching, the city buzzed with wedding excitement. Daniel's wedding was the talk of town, luxury, wealth, class. Newspapers praised it, social media celebrated it, and everyone admired the kind-hearted, successful groom. It was almost amusing watching everyone worship him like a saint, when I knew the devil behind the smile. But anger alone wasn't enough. Revenge wasn't about screaming or fighting. It was about precision. So I prepared silently. I smiled when necessary, acted indifferent, and pretended the past didn't matter. I even called Daniel and congratulated him. His confident voice sent chills through me, that tone of superiority he always carried, believing he had permanently won. He invited me personally, probably thinking I was still broken and harmless. But I wasn't the same man anymore. I had learned patience. I had learned strategy. I had learned how powerful silence can be. I had built connections of my own, powerful ones. I had gathered every proof of his past crimes, scams, lies, and fraud, things even his bride didn't know. I discovered truths darker than what he did to me. Daniel's entire empire was built on deceit. The world believed he was successful, but he was a ticking bomb. And I was ready to light the match. I didn't want to destroy just his happiness. I wanted to destroy his image, his pride, and the false kingdom he built. The best revenge isn't loud. It's elegantly executed. And a wedding with hundreds of guests. Cameras everywhere, perfect. Clara, his bride, wasn't guilty, at least not at first. She was beautiful, soft-spoken, and genuinely caring. The first time I met her, she welcomed me with warmth, believing every lie Daniel told her about me. He painted himself as my savior, not my destroyer. To her, I was the jealous cousin who couldn't handle Daniel's success. She pitied me. That pity hurt more than insults. Yet I didn't hate her. I actually felt sorry for her because she was about to marry a monster disguised as a gentleman. She believed she found love, security, and a future. But her future stood on a foundation of lies. We sat together one evening before the wedding. She spoke with excitement about their future, their children, their dreams. I listened quietly. My heart was torn. Should I protect her? Should I expose Daniel before the wedding quietly? Or should I let the truth crash down in front of everyone so the world would finally see who Daniel truly was? My anger whispered, "This is not just about him. It's about every humiliation you endured. This is justice." Still, a part of me wondered if revenge would make me heartless like him. But Clara unknowingly made my decision easy when she proudly said, "Daniel says you used to be jealous of him because he worked hard while you wasted your life." That sentence burned. That lie sealed everything. Daniel didn't just destroy my life. He rewrote my story. And I owed it to myself to correct it publicly. The week before the wedding, something unexpected happened. A man approached me, nervous, desperate, terrified. He was one of Daniel's former employees. He confessed that Daniel didn't just steal my company idea. He scammed investors, laundered money, and ruined many lives along the way. He ruined families. He destroyed dreams. He left people jobless and hopeless. I wasn't the only victim. I was just the loudest story. That revelation transformed my anger into purpose. This was no longer just revenge, this was justice. It wasn't about pride anymore. It was about exposing truth. He handed me documents, audio recordings, legal evidence, enough to collapse everything Daniel built. Enough to shatter his perfect life into dust. As I studied every evidence at night, the truth cut deeper than I imagined. Daniel was worse than I thought. He wasn't just a betrayer. He was a predator. Yet society crowned him as a hero. That hypocrisy strengthened me. I made calls. I contacted powerful people who once doubted me. Now they listened. Now they saw the truth. And they were willing to stand with me. I didn't just want to embarrass Daniel. I wanted to ensure that when he fell, he would never rise again. His wedding was no longer just a celebration. It was going to be his undoing. The night before the wedding felt like the silence before heavy rain. Everywhere was beautifully decorated. Lights glowing, music rehearsals echoing, laughter filling the air. Daniel moved confidently, shaking hands, smiling, boasting. He didn't even notice me watching quietly from a distance. He believed victory belonged to him forever. He believed the past was buried. He believed I was irrelevant. That confidence made the moment sweeter. Watching him celebrate blindly, knowing what was coming the next day. That was the calmest satisfaction I had felt in years. But I won't lie, I couldn't sleep that night. My heart raced, my mind battled between emotions. Was I doing the right thing? Would I regret this? Would ruining his wedding ruin innocent people too? Then I remembered my darkest days. The humiliation. The depression. The nights I almost gave up on life. Daniel never cared. No one cared. I rebuilt myself alone. So why should I protect the man who destroyed me? Revenge didn't feel evil anymore. It felt necessary. By dawn my mind was clear. Tomorrow wouldn't just be his wedding. Tomorrow would rewrite history. The wedding morning arrived bright and beautiful. Guests flooded the venue in glamorous outfits. Cameras flashed. Laughter filled the air. Music played softly. Happiness painted everywhere. Daniel walked proudly, dressed in luxury, believing he was king of the day. Clara glowed with innocence, unaware of the storm brewing quietly. Everyone thought they were attending the happiest celebration of love. No one knew they were walking into a battlefield of truth. I walked in calm, dressed elegantly, smiling politely. Daniel hugged me in front of everyone. A fake affectionate gesture for the crowd. I smiled back, equally fake. When it was time for speeches, Daniel spoke proudly about love, loyalty, and destiny. The irony almost made me laugh. Then came my turn. The hall fell silent. Everyone expected a loving cousin's speech glorifying the wonderful groom. Instead, they got the truth. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't shout. I spoke calmly, powerfully, and clearly. I told the truth. I exposed his lies. I revealed evidence. Videos played on the giant screens. Gasps filled the hall. Murmurs spread. Faces changed. Clara's expression shattered from joy to horror. Daniel froze. The world finally saw him. Chaos erupted. Guests stood in shock. Journalists recorded everything. Business partners walked out. Investors called immediately, furious and betrayed. Clara's parents confronted Daniel in rage. Clara collapsed into tears as truth crushed her heart. For the first time in his life, Daniel couldn't talk his way out. His confidence evaporated. Fear replaced arrogance. The same humiliation I once felt now wrapped around him publicly. He begged Clara. He tried to blame me. But the evidence was undeniable. His kingdom crumbled in seconds. Security escorted investigators into the hall. Authorities arrived. Everything was falling apart beautifully. And I watched silently. Not with joy but with justice. This wasn't cruelty. This was truth finally catching up. Daniel looked at me. Eyes filled with desperation, fear, and disbelief. For years he thought he destroyed me permanently. Yet here I stood, stronger than he ever imagined, while he drowned in consequences he created himself. When the hall cleared, when the chaos settled slightly, we finally stood face to face. No crowd. No cameras. Just two cousins who once called each other brothers. He fell to his knees, tears streaming, begging forgiveness. But it wasn't repentance. It was fear of punishment. He wasn't sorry for what he did. He was sorry he got caught. That realization hardened me. I wasn't the helpless cousin anymore. I wasn't broken. I wasn't angry. I was done. I told him something simple. You took everything from me when I had nothing. Today, I took everything from you when you had everything. Now we're equal. Then I walked away. Not because I hated him, but because I finally healed. Revenge didn't give me joy, it gave me peace. I didn't destroy him. His actions destroyed him. I simply revealed them. Weeks later, life moved on. Daniel faced legal battles, bankruptcy, public shame. Clara rebuilt her life, stronger and wiser. The world saw the truth. And me? I didn't become bitter. I became free. Revenge wasn't about hurting him. It was about closing a wound time refused to heal. For years, I lived under his shadow. Now I stood confidently in my own light. I rebuilt myself honestly with dignity and strength. I regained respect not because I destroyed Daniel, but because I overcame what he did to me. People still talk about that wedding. They call it the wedding that turned into Judgment Day. But to me it wasn't destruction. It was justice finally served. They thought it was just a wedding. They didn't know it was my revenge.